I don't mean to get too formal about this, but thanks for coming. What we're going to do is start it's a 9-minute trailer of the video, and then John will speak, and then we'd love to take some questions if that's okay with folks. So y'all did not come to hear from me, but here's a little preview of the movie.
Relationships are important in education. That really may be even the key to teaching well is the relationship you have with a student. If you're able to touch their mind, fine, but if you can touch their heart, then the mind contact lasts longer and goes deeper, I think.
Hey guys, quest tags, take your seats in your cabinet.
This is the World Peace Game, and it's about 28 years old. It's a political science simulation. It involves usually about 25 to 30 students. And the game basically pits 4 or 5 countries against each other in every way, politically, socially, militarily, and economically. They're pitted against each other, and they have to use their imagination, use their thinking skills to think their way out of these problems that they're pitched into head first. The game starts with them inheriting situations on the verge of chaos and combat, and they've got to think their way out of that situation.
There has to be a way we can use this. We have to figure that out. We can use this volcano, use this eruption to make something good happen.
We have started a counterattack and sending its Air Force.
Oh, God. If you look on the World Peace Game map, he has like that much oil.
So does Caden. And Caden's our complete ally. And we can also get some oil from him.
Okay.
We're not going to.
Like, Caden said you would.
Caden, we're not going to attack them?
I know.
It's a threat. It did say that. All the ships that we moved was for confusion, and it wasn't for battle, and that we come in peace.
First, I gave him 7 days to do something about the microscopic organisms, and he's now 2 days left, and he hasn't even boarded the island and tried to do anything about it, and I think he's trying to attack me instead of trying to do what he said he was going to do.
I want it to be so thrilling that they don't want to do without it, but so challenging that they almost can't do it. And to have the two contrasts, have those two opposite things working together, it's, for me, that kind of tension is what I think is where learning occurs. They have that love and fear, and that learning just torques on that kind of mismatch, I think, and that seems to be what's happening in this game.
It's a game that makes you think really hard. It makes you really think about what's really going on in the world. What I think is you can't be all about war, and you can't be, again, this may sound bad, but you can't be all about peace.
Yeah, not like all like flowers and grassy fields and
Solar
panels and houses. No, it's not like that. You'll have to have some defense.
It's challenging. There is no right or wrong answer. If you wanted a right answer, choose the one that helps everyone and then think about yourself.
We start off with a reading from Sun Tzu, the Chinese general, his book, The Art of War, which of course, as you know, is basically how to stay out of war. And for the most part, if you're in it, how to get out of it quickly. And he says, therefore, a victorious army first wins and then seeks a battle. A defeated army first battles and then seeks victory. Read that again, yeah.
We've really had enough of people attacking. I mean, we've been lucky. I mean, the time, now I'm feeling really weird because I'm living what Sun Tzu said 1 week. 1 week he said, those who go into battle and win and will want to go back, and those who lose in battle will want to go back and win. And so I've been winning battles, so I'm sort of going into battles more battles. And I think it's sort of weird to be living what Sun Tzu said.
This session of the World Peace Game is about to commence. Because I have such confidence in you, I'm going to do something I've never done before. What? The game has 3 new crises in it. I've never put new crises in once the game has started. These are crises concerning water rights. One of the big problems in the world today is people having enough clean water for whatever they need, drinking and washing and so forth. It's a big problem. And guys, I really think they're going to be almost impossible to get out of. But I really have confidence you're going to be able to do it. I don't know why I think you can. So I would never do this if I didn't think you could. But I don't know how you're going to do it. I cannot imagine. So good luck to you.
I'm sorry, but I'm okay, but I really need to talk to Jonah.
Please, Connor, then you.
Mr. Hunter, he's a brain stretcher. My brain, when I come from his classroom, it just feels like it's just like empty. If I shake my head around, I can feel it swishing.
My brain, when I come back from his class, it feels like it's just
jelly.
Learned so much.
This session of the World Peace Game is about to commence.
I hope that they never need me again, that I put myself out of a job, that they have everything that they could possibly have gotten from this experience, from me, from my influence, whatever it might have been, and that they take away every tool, every creative thinking tool, every critical thinking tool they can, and they have a confidence that they can solve any problem, they can deal with anything.
One of the things I learned was that other people matter. In this game, one person can't win, everyone has to win. And I think that taught me a lot about cooperating with other people, being generous, and having an attitude that if you work together, you can achieve anything.
In view of all the crises being solved, and in view of everyone's asset value being over 100 billion, I hereby declare this World Peace Game won!
When I look at things like the game and what happened with these kids, as I said to them today, if just one of you is in position to leverage something good for the world, if just one of you is in that kind of position, that can make all the difference. And if you've picked up a tool from this game, a thinking tool or critical thinking skill that helps you do that, you may save us all. And that's what I'm naively hoping might happen.
All right, the video kind of sells itself. So, star of the film, John Hunter, and the filmmaker, Chris Farina.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We've just come out from the East Coast. Chris and I met several years ago, and he came into my classroom. A mutual friend introduced us, and we just sort of fell into a rhythm and an understanding about a deeper purpose than just playing in a classroom. And through that, Chris's film has internationally been seen, and the game now is at a place where people are asking if we can share that experience with you. So we're excited to be here at Google, and I hope we can share even more as we talk about it. We're open to questions and ideas, but Chris is here, and he can probably say a little bit about how the project developed as well, too.
Well, it was really simple in a way. I mean, when I went into John's classroom, I was just moved emotionally by that relationship between a teacher and students. So, you know, I've made other films and it's always, they never make money. So it's always a sideline in a sense. So for me, to have something that you really believe in is more important, because that's the thing that's going to keep you passionate about a project when it does take 4 or 5. I mean, we first met, it was 6 years ago. We filmed this 4.5 years ago. It was just completed last year, or it was premiered last year. But it was that beauty of the relationship. And then as I got more and more familiar, it just became so obvious to me of what incredible learning tools these children were picking up through the exercise itself and through John, and was very moved to think about how one person can, and particularly a teacher, can affect so many children's lives on a day-to-day basis through the years, and that seems to not be represented that well. And so for me, it was also important to kind of pay homage to the teaching profession. I feel like in some ways there's so many people, education is so important, everybody's involved. I mean, I'm a parent, everybody, it's the most important thing in their lives. But so many people throw bombs, and yet the people on the ground who are doing the day-to-day work suffer because of all the 30-second spots, the 30-second, I'll scream louder and get more information, I'll get more attention. Whereas these people are doing this day-to-day, year after year, and I felt like it should be honored. So in that way, it kind of evolved to be that sense of really almost paying homage and respect to a really wonderful profession.
If you have any questions, feel free, because we'll keep talking otherwise. We'd love to do that. Yes, me. Okay. Is it on, actually? It is on. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yes?
I have a question. I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just wait for you to talk. But so, where were you teaching, and are you still teaching? And how old is your oldest group of kids now? And are you still in touch with them?
Yeah, I'm teaching. We're from Charlottesville, Virginia, in the Albemarle County Public School System. And I've been teaching for about 34 years. This was one of the first things I did when I first became a teacher. I had no mandate, there was no directive, there were no guidelines really in my mandate. And so they said, just come up with something that's good for children that takes them beyond the ordinary lecture and book learning and so forth. So I started, and this game came about. I know kids love to play, and through play actually a great deal of learning can occur. And it's been denigrated in some circles that play is useless. But we found it has a great function for creating an attraction in children for a subject and to get them to actually love the subject through their efforts in play, actually. So the game was started about 34 years ago. And interesting you asked, I just got an email this morning. I'm on a Facebook post from the first generation of students who played 34 years ago at Richmond Community High School. And the student just talked about how good the experience was, and she still remembers it. You probably can remember some of your teachers, the best teachers you had, what an effect they had on you, how it feels, how you remember them. And my teachers, I mean, everything I do is based on my teachers, really. I see the film and it's an eerie feeling. I seem to disappear and I see my teachers coming through. I'm trying to live up to what they showed me, that kind of thing. So you teach a child, you teach a student, and they leave your classroom, and you may never see them again. So you have to make every effort the best effort, because it goes so deep and you can't even see the end result. So I think it's a long answer to your question. You have others too, I'm sure. Yeah.
I was told to ask this question by our original host, but what can Google do to help you and help the film?
Oh, do you want to start?
Well,
that list we had?
I'll put the producer's hat on, which is the film is heavily in debt. We're looking at, I mean, this film, we brought it out, it premiered at South by Southwest March of 2010, and it's been which was wonderful, because having no money to market the film, we had to rely on finding venues where people came to it and found out. And from South by Southwest led to really one of our greatest coups was being at this festival, the Bergen International Film Festival in Norway, which then, and this is the way this process seems to work. We won the audience award for the festival, which was pretty flattering, because this was a great films, but a lot of this is John. I mean, but the emotional connection is so strong. But that then led to a relationship in Norway where the film is going to be distributed throughout the schools in Norway. And so for us, again, not having really anything behind it to make this happen, to find a place and partners who ensure that it's going to have an impact and that John's work is going to be spread and influence others, and particularly young and future teachers, which is really our biggest goal, is kind of wonderful. So we've somewhat gone through the film festival route. We're also going to the sense of education, but now we're looking at the potential of and we've had the film broadcast in a few countries, South Korea and Israel, but we're looking at a fall broadcast here in the US. And at this point, we have to make this decision soon, but we're looking for underwriting support. So for that sense, in order to really create an impact with the film, the underwriting, particularly if it would go to, say, a PBS, would provide some of the marketing muscle to make the impact, to make sure that teachers across the country get John's work. But then there's the other part, which I'll defer to John, which is really this, almost the film is a booster that launches John's work in a sense and presents it, and then John will capitalize on it, which is really talking about the replication of the exercise and the core principles behind the exercise.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. I think for us, at least myself at my age, I think about a legacy. Who knows how much time we have, and the older I get, the more I think about impermanence. And so if I want to do some good and I want it to be lasting, I understand that it has to go beyond me. So I'm preparing right now for the next generation. And in order to do that in the widest possible sense, I'll have to either replicate the game, which I hope to do somehow physically, but maybe to train other people who can then train others and even be in a certification lineage so that we keep the core principles alive and pure as we can, knowing things are going to mutate and change. Change is the nature of things. But then also to have, we have an academy every summer where students from 9 to 17, mixed age groups play together, 30 students, and we have 2 weeks at the Darden School of the University of Virginia this summer. So I'll do that for as many summers as I can. And then we're open to going off-site to other countries. And I think in Norway, in Bergen, they're building the game structure, a huge 4x4x4 plexiglass cube for me so I can come and play with teenagers there, actually. So we're open to that sort of thing, replication, on-site and off-site training. And then I think I have to consider hybrid or even virtual versions of the game. I had sort of been opposed to it for a long time because I like that visceral face-to-face thing that kids have where they can read body language and look at cues and feel and smell the difference in what's going on in the room. But in order to scale this or make it more available and accessible, I have to surrender some control and allow the consideration that it could be virtualized in such a way, hopefully, it remains true to the principles. It doesn't just evolve into another war game. But the principles of flexibility and deliberate complexity and contradictions that the students have to work through. There are 50 interlocking problems that they have to solve simultaneously on all 4 levels, the outer space level, the air level, the ground and sea and undersea, and between countries. So they're thinking in rings of consequence all the time. And to try and put them in a situation where they trust me and I trust them and we believe in each other, they continue to solve the game year after year. So to have that experience hopefully shared, I mean, essentially the game is just an excuse, it's just a pretext. It's just a pretext for children practicing and learning the tools and processes of solving problems, resolving conflicts, and the ultimate goal is really to decrease suffering and increase compassion. They learn so much compassion in the practice. They learn how to decrease the suffering that I give them in the complex problems we start the game with. So really it's a tool to just simply make things better for everybody. It's just an excuse. So it's not really so much the game, it's more the process of living in such a way, I think. That I hope to replicate as far and wide as possible. So if Google can see a way to help us think through that, you know, we're just 2 guys trying our best. We're small town guys, and Chris has been working and sacrificing for years to make this happen. And I was on the verge of retirement, and this has sort of pulled us out. And so we're open to help and willing to seek support to help share the good things that come out of this with everybody. Yeah.
So are you training teachers like on how to teach the game?
There will be this summer 5 teachers from outside Boston, the Weston school system, school district, coming to observe and begin the process of exploring training. And somebody asked me the other day, who is going to succeed you? Who will be the people that will step up and be the trainers and the facilitators and teachers of this game? And the person said they were shocked at my answer because I said, well, I know a couple of 12-year-olds and there's 11 and a 10-year-old that I'm really counting on. And I was very serious because I have some students who are just tremendous people, individuals, and also have a tremendous instinct and insight about meta level and meta concept management all at once. They can see multiple dimensions and multiple intentions and trend lines all at once. These kids, little guys, and then when they get it, they can basically run the entire experience and create peace almost in an instant. They get to a place of mastery where they can sort of play with the game because they know they can win it in an instant, but they keep crises alive just to enjoy the playing of their mind and understanding their own power and ability and confidence that they can actually achieve this. They can solve these problems that adults have so much trouble with. Thank you. Me.
John, what's your dream?
What is my dream? Well, you know, it's called the World Peace Game. I think that I'm hoping everyone can be empowered to find the peace, the deepest peace they can, helping each other however they view it. But I know I start myself with just trying to find my own baggage through, you know, looking at my awareness and myself and trying to develop my understanding and awareness. So when I go into the classroom, I'm not superimposing, you know, my limited ego space or insight on someone else. And it's a practice, it's hard work to be able to. So the game really, the children take over and I have no control. We share control at the beginning, then I have to surrender control. I'm still a teacher, I still try to guide. But you know, you saw the fellow David in the film who was attacking and living Sun Tzu's way. You know, he had been through so many battles and my heart was breaking every time he attacked. But he learned through that process. He later said the best way is not to do that. But I had to allow him to go through it. So he goes through it and he understands his obstructions to his own awareness. And eventually he clears that out and he can come to some deeper understanding, I think, about how things really work. And so that's my hope, I think, that people seek that depth. And if this can inspire them or stimulate them or provide an excuse for them to fall into it, then I'm happy to see it happen. Yeah.
Have you seen over the last however many years that you've been doing the game any type of impact from externally what's happening in the political world and kind of the media on the kids and how they play the game?
I'll ask Chris to talk about some of the things that students have done or experienced from their experience in the game, so they say.
Well, that's just to be, but it's funny, I had asked that question to John and it didn't make it into the film, but I thought it was interesting, and I think I do want you to come back to that.
Okay.
Because I think you have talked about it in a couple different ways in terms of the things in the news affecting children through the generations, but also in the change in gender and how girls treat it differently than they do, say, 15, 20 years ago. But what John's referring to is we've had people who have asked about have we quantified the results, in a sense, the World Peace Game. And John, like so many teachers, is just in his classroom. There hasn't been really any attention paid, and which is kind of astounding in some ways because we're sitting there in a university town with an ed school, and yet there's been very little attention paid to this unbelievable master teacher who's been working all these years. So really what I see, and I'm not an educator and very much a layman when it comes to these issues, is the one girl who's well, she's very fiery, but in the trailer, she's the person that wants to maximize the volcanic eruption. She and a couple of her friends, 3 months after this, started a charity and raised money to build wells in Mozambique. The boy who's living Sun Tzu is now a page in the Virginia Senate.
Yeah.
There was the boy there's one child who's extremely articulate, and he's actually not in the film. He's an alumni of the game. He's 2 years older than these 4th graders. And he was the one that really kind of taught me that you take care of others and that's how you take care of yourselves, to think that first. And this is a kid that literally wants to be the president. And you spend an hour with him interviewing him and you're like, this could happen. And yet he's coming at it. I mean, you hope that he retains it, but he's coming at it from this start of compassion, of this idea of wanting to do good for others. And there's a tagline that we use for the film, which is that these children enter this exercise as children of a neighborhood and leave as citizens of the world. And I think in many ways this game, taught by John, is very much the initiation of that process, where these kids do feel part of a greater whole. It starts with their team, but here's a game that only all can win, or it's not one, so it then becomes the others. And then it's very easily transferred into the world around them. So in that sense, I think there's incredible impact from the game for these children as they go through their lives.
Great question, probably the essential question.
But talk about, but I do want you to talk about that, of how kids have changed through the experience, or through the years.
Yeah, 34 years, probably before all of you were born. I think in the time there was, we had our young boys, they were generally more aggressive, and the young girls were more reserved at the time, it seemed in general to me. Now, and in my TED Talk recently, I talked about one girl who was a tank commander. Just to give you an example of how this changed in recent years, she was a minister of defense in her country, and against the orders of her prime minister, a boy, she took her tank corps into a neighboring country, a larger country, a much more powerful country, surrounded their oil field and locked it down without firing a shot. And we were all completely upset with her. This is a world peace game. What are you doing? Why are you doing this, taking this military action? It's crazy. And she held her peace. She didn't say anything except, I know what I'm doing. Everybody's against her. The entire world in our world peace game was against her. Come to find out a few game days later that the country she secured the oil field of had been planning a sort of run or sweep of world domination. They were going to take the military and march around the board and take over. We had a little tyrant in charge of that country. And because she secured their fuel supplies, they could not do it. She saw this about to happen. She saw the trend lines coming long before us. She had that insight. We didn't see it until later. But she made a philosophical decision to reject authority or to go against it, do what she felt or knew or understood to be correct, even though it wasn't popular, which in our case, in our elementary schools, is very hard for girls to do things that are not popular. And she did. And we had to stop and discuss, was that okay? Was it right? Was it wrong? Was it conditional good? The philosophical implications that a 9-year-old girl went through that they didn't 30 years ago, and now they do. And the boys come in now, and they're much cooler too. They immediately want to blow up things and launch missiles, but immediately the consequences come back and they go, yeah, this is not a good idea. I can see what's going to happen 6 steps away from this action. So now I'm going to rethink and look at the consequences, the karmic repercussions of my action, if you will. But they have learned to, I think, delay the impulse and think more deeply in the moment and live in the moment longer to allow things to unfold rather than simply striking impulsively. So I think that's a big difference I've seen over time. Yeah, thanks, Chris. That was a good question. Yeah.
Is your movie out on DVD? How can you watch?
The way, I'm trying to figure this out in some level. What we're looking at is figuring out broadcast in order to figure out what kind of restrictions there might be implied. Like we have an offer from a cable channel. I shouldn't be saying this. I don't realize this is being
That's
filmed.
all you said. So give your name.
Because of what they might require, what I'm concerned about is the limitations on making the film available soon. So my sense is I need to figure, we don't want to hold off anymore, particularly because with John's TED Talk going online, the international interest has really risen. I mean, it's kind of phenomenal if you look at well, you guys would know better than anyone in terms of social media. Yeah. But I mean, we're blown away by the interest we're getting from 100+ countries. I mean, I was telling Davis before, we got an email from a guy who runs a school for the Maasai children in eastern Tanzania that's like, I want to see the movie, we'd love to use this exercise for our children. I don't think that would have been possible 10 years ago to have had that kind of connection. But so what we're looking at is once we get the broadcast set, we'll know when we can put the DVD out. So that, my sense is and this is coming very soon, My sense is we'll have an answer within a month or so as to how that'll happen. What we're doing right now is trying to set up screenings wherever we can. Often educational groups, peace groups, but really anyone. I mean, using the tentacles very much have been created through John's TED Talk to see if there are people who are interested. I mean, the reason we're here and in this area is because of a supporter from the TED community that said, I really want to share this. I mean, we're having a screening at Palo Alto tonight, and we're really bringing it's only through the grace of partners that really share in the mission from seeing John speak that said that this should be shared. So that's what we're trying to kind of build it on a grassroots level. Yeah. Yes?
So where's the screening tonight? Is
anyone
allowed to?
I think they have some room, but we might have to, if we could get you, we could invite you and then we just have to send your name. It's at Cinema Arts. Yeah. But yeah, just talk afterwards and I'll make sure to send it in.
It's just the two of us. And Chris, yes?
What attempts at marketing to educational institutions and groups have you done?
It's part of the process. I wish this was my day job as opposed to the few hours I can give it while I try to run a business at home. Where the film has been seen at a number of educational institutions, so that was our hope, was to present it and hope to again create partners. The film, we were at Harvard a couple weeks ago. We've been at Georgetown, Virginia. Where else? There's somewhere else that's, I forget. There's another one. So we've presented it to some educational conferences. The College Board, which is a company, we've formed a partnership, well, not a partnership, but basically an alliance with them so that they have allowed us to present it at a few conferences. So probably, I'd say about 600 or 700 educators have seen it through their relationship. There's another school, SchoolNet presented it at the University of Pennsylvania. So that's starting. Our hope is that we will eventually reach, I mean, for me, again, just being kind of a solo person here, it's a redundancy, is that we might find people who can take it on. I mean, what I would love to see is the impact, become much greater, and I know that I can't do it. So our sense is, as we present the film, that we can find someone that can help us create the curriculum that would accompany. John will be addressing the curriculum for the World Peace Game, but I would like to see the film by itself just affect teachers and young teachers. I mean, we both agree that that's where the impact could really be made. So the idea of a curriculum with the film being then provided to ed schools or to Teach for America group, where we really could get at people who would be motivated and, in a sense, not too beaten down by the system, so that they could, take this as the inspiration it is and take it through for their life. John, 34 years affects, as an example, 30 children a year, 40 children a year. Imagine if it's on a simple level. Imagine if it's 20 teachers that are affected by him that do that over 30 years. Imagine if it's 50, imagine if it's 10,000. I think it could really have an effect. Our sense is to find partners to make it happen. Yeah, Dan.
I love the focus on the teachers and students. What has the reaction been from parents and administrators?
It's interesting because as a teacher, you're very sensitive to your community, and you have to work with students. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's easy, but you're sensitive to the parent behind the student always, and the family, the relationships, the relatives. And in the 34 years, it's almost eerie. There has been essentially 100% support. One parent withdrew a child once before religious reasons. They had a prophetical view about what was going to happen and didn't see the need for their child to be involved in this. And so that's okay. But it's been amazing. Chris had to really cultivate a relationship with our school community where the film was made, and all the parents signed off on it. It's been 100% since. And that's been the amazing thing about it. I think the issue of peace, the welfare of children, and helping children to learn how to be peaceful or create peaceful environments and support others and eliminate suffering as much as possible. The parents are all for it. It's almost a no-brainer. It makes sense to do so. So that's what happens, I think. And it's been a very beautiful thing to have happen, that you go in almost feeling support before you get into the room. Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned wanting to. Oh, thank you. Can you hear me? You mentioned wanting to target new teachers to kind of invest them in maybe helping to scale this whole project. So I'm wondering, to what degree, if any, have you reached out to organizations like Teach for America or the New Teacher Project or New York Teaching Fellows or other groups that recruit and place new teachers?
She's a Teach for America alum, by the way.
Yeah, I taught in the Bronx
Can we
for 2
get your
years.
name?
Sure. Actually, yeah.
That organization, particularly Teach for America, and a number of other groups have been on our radar for some time as an ideal as a possible alliance or a partnership whereby this game can be distributed. And again, not just the game, but the principles of creative thinking that all teachers can do, whether the game's involved or not. But we'd like to do that. But essentially, I'm going back from here and teaching in my school. Every day I do bus duty in the morning and in the afternoon. I don't have a lot of time to do much. And we're really struggling to keep up with the response to the TED Talk particularly. So the question that Davis asked earlier, what can be done, is the support and the help of actual people to help us do the thing. I would love to make those phone calls and write those emails, and when I have time I will. And we're really struggling to keep up with that tide. But that's the beautiful suggestion, and we hope that is a vehicle that can be a way for us to go. So young teachers, new teachers, teachers who've been in it a while and have some expertise, we'd like to have a space or a place, if they want to come, they can create their own best curriculum, whatever it is. And we look at the game as an inspiration, but the idea is that everybody finds the best in themselves, and they take that out. They don't have to be me or copy me or replicate anything I'm doing. It's just that they take the time and the awareness to find out who they really are and what gifts they really have to offer themselves. That's, I guess, the message we hope. So it may have nothing to do with me, but if it inspires you to look deeper into yourself and find your gift, that's the lasting result for me.
And I would say that we are at the New Schools Education Summit tomorrow. The film's being screened tomorrow morning, and I know Teach for America, some of the big wigs are there. So I actually think that contact might be made. Thanks.
Question, 34 years of doing this, what is the biggest surprise to you?
What is the biggest surprise?
Yeah.
In all these years?
Still alive?
I think I am surprised every year, every time the students collectively, 30 of them, decide to save the world and build a means to do it. And every year it's an entirely different way to do it. I rewrite the rule book every year because they reinvent everything. They find infinite ways to do good. And I'm surprised. Every year I go, how did they think of that? This year it's totally different than last year. Here's another new solution. It's an infinite garden of their minds that can provide these solutions. So I'm completely optimistic. You know, I see 30 chances for hope and success, 30 chances for goodness. And if I think in my school there's 570 children, 570 chances for goodness. And if I think every school, thousands of chances for goodness in my state, I think the country, how many chances do we have to get it right? We have a lot of chances to get it right. And we talk about how dire things are, but look how many opportunities every day we have for things to go right and go well, and multiplied by all the children in the world. And it's a huge positive possibility. So I'm surprised by them continually wanting to do good and doing good.
So I'm just curious in terms of spreading the message of teachers engaging creatively with students and getting to TFA or any other teacher organizations to try to get that in the curriculum. Have you guys done anything to acknowledge teachers that might be doing similar projects and are really doing things creatively, and you just want to highlight their work and also their achievements in the classroom?
You know, that would be lovely. That's a beautiful thought. Essentially, as a school teacher, classroom teacher, you're really pretty much preoccupied with your class. And so I haven't really had time to broadcast my work or to make publications or to advertise myself. It's just been about my students and myself. It really hasn't been any other agenda. So now I'm just becoming aware or just becoming able to react and to respond and to communicate with other teachers in a wider way. But we have so much in front of us, and we have to make sure we do it well, that there really isn't much time for us outside to do other things, communicating and sharing, if we really focus on it. We like to get resources and contacts that can help us do our work the best, but really the focus is right here. So the work of the broader communication, it's almost like I have to have a second job to be able to do that, because there's no time, if I'm really loving these people here and trying to work with them, there's not much time left to do other things. So hopefully it gets to a point where somebody can help us do that, because I'm not able to put in the time to do it so much.
Well, but since John won't plug himself, I'll do it. John's also created the World Peace Game Foundation, which is very much just started. I mean, and this summer, I mean, to what we had said earlier, is the first time in all these years that actually teachers from outside of his classroom are coming in with the idea of learning how to teach this exercise. So it really is kind of our initial laboratory to see this relationship between John and other teachers. But the hopes for that foundation are very much as it becomes a forum of communication teacher to teacher, so that things like that could really be shared. So that they're, in the same way we were made aware of, actually just a few weeks ago, of something funded by the Gates Foundation, the Teachers Channel, which is about to go online, I think in June. And it's very much about getting media representation of teachers' good work and sharing it with other teachers. And I think what we have here is an opportunity, because of the elevation, in a sense, of John's celebrityhood as being a TED speaker, of having this film, of having the broadcast next fall, that he can just be kind of the film, I mean, the trailer doesn't show it, but the film you'll see, John's mom was his teacher, his 4th grade teacher. And so what's wonderful about that for me as a filmmaker is it allows the film to be about teaching and not just about John, because his mother, his memories of his mother are a really strong part of the film. And so there is this sense of this example, not just of one teacher, but of quality teaching. And so if the light can shine on that through the film and then translate that attention to the foundation, I think the opportunity to then connect to other quality teachers could happen. I mean, and we very much hope in the year or two to follow that will happen.
I have one kind of logistical question. So, so is this just is it one class period you teach every day, or is it like this is the whole, I assume this isn't like the whole year, right? They're like doing math and stuff as well. But so, and like how many days a week do you teach it, and like how many hours a day?
Nuts and bolts, yeah. My mandate is gifted education, and it used to be that I would teach people who are identified gifted in a test situation. You took a test, you were gifted or you weren't, and that was the end of the story. That was 30-some years ago. The definition itself has grown and expanded and changed, so that now the leading researchers in the country in gifted education are saying giftedness could be something that occurs, a behavior that occurs in anyone at any time under different circumstances. And we almost can't say it's limited to anything, so we can never write anybody off anymore. It could be that one person who has a cure for cancer. So we have to allow access to the tools that the gifted educator will provide or stimulate the children to create. So my classroom now is such a porous barrier. I don't know who's identified and who's not anymore. They come and they go, and things shift and change according to the needs-based groups they have to form. This year, my 4th graders I see every day for 45 minutes, and they play the game. When we finish the game after 6 or 7 weeks, we do another huge project or whatever. My 5th graders played 3 times a week for 45 minutes. I think the film was an hour and a half.
It was at 8 weeks, once a week, hour and a half. Yeah.
So it depends on our school master calendar and schedule, basically. And the nuts and bolts, I have it in my room. It takes up about a quarter of the classroom. It takes about 25 to 30 students to play the way I've designed it. It takes that amount of time, 15 to 20 hours in total, pretty much. And the idea is that this game structure as solid and as massive as it looks to be. It towers over the kids. You can actually walk up to it and grab the bars and go, and the whole thing will sway and then come back to position. It's designed based on Chinese principles by my father to give rather than to resist movement. Because children, their feet grow during the year, then they bump into things. And it's a $50 million
fine if you kick the board.
If you bump the board accidentally. So they're very, the awareness increases because they don't want to lose that money for their team. And so our problems with the nuts and bolts are trying to figure out how to scale this out as a physical object. And I've got these 4-foot by 4-foot plexiglass panes, very hard to ship and move. We thought maybe we could quarter them and put them in a box or make them foldable and collapsible. And that's where people like Google, we're hoping, can be insightful enough to help us figure out how to make it portable so it can be shared more easily. Right now I just have to pack the whole thing up, get a truck, take it over. It takes 6 hours to set up the board, all those little pieces. So it's a very intensive affair just to get it ready and to have the students play. So those are some of the nuts and bolts that we have to consider. And if we can make it simpler, that would be wonderful. Thanks for that question. I never get to talk about that.
Sir, we advertise this from 2 to 3. I just want to leave a few minutes at the end for some folks to come up and ask you some informal questions. But really appreciate your time, and maybe we can stop film and get into informal stuff, and we'll give you all a tour afterwards.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.